Hi, I just want to cover this lady, Janine, president of Bolivia, which has suffered a coup. And I'm not going to go into the alls and ins and outs of it here. I'll leave a couple of links that will inform you about exactly what's going on in Bolivia. Please don't believe the right-wing media. Well, let's call them for what they are, actual corporate media hype, claiming that, it was an unsafe election and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, President Morales, lawfully elected president, was standing up for his people, as he has done for the last how many years. That drastically reduced poverty in his country, is demanding that the people of Bolivia, and also that includes the native people of Bolivia, will benefit from their natural resource, which at the moment it's lithium that the corporations are hungry for. And we know that that's needed for computer technology, mobile phones, you name it. And the corporatists and their cronies, the few, gather, you see, to devour the profits for themselves, most of it to go offshore into offshore pockets. So those same interests, especially through America, will feed this upper middle class and, give them the pomp and whatever, the media recognition, social recognition, in order to feed up their egos, feed their greed for, the baubles of capitalism, as it were. And they will happily sell out the majority of the people who are actually native people, the native Bolivian people. So again, it's a resource grab, exactly what's been going on in Venezuela, except unlike Venezuela, this coup has been successful in the sense that the real president, has been forced to flee to Mexico for refuge because, there were threats against the lives of himself and his family. Now, what I find especially disturbing about this woman is that she's here holding a huge Bible in her hands, and she's claiming, that they are far-right evangelicals, you see. And she's saying she's going to bring, God has allowed the Bible to come back into the palace. May he bless us. Glory to God, yelled supporters gathered around her. Now, you can guarantee that she also is a Trump supporter, and there's all this stuff, about Trump being the chosen one, and just really strange stuff coming from these evangelicals. And so I'm speaking out for the people of Bolivia, regardless of whether they believe in God or not. You see, I have witnessed universal golden light being, and it communed with me through an energy of bliss and transmitted the message of universal law of abundance in compassion that upholds all our human rights and animal rights and earth rights. And I understood from that experience that Jah, as I call the universal golden light intelligence that created us and everything in this universe, as far as I understand, Jah does not favour people who believe in a religious faith or not. It's like he doesn't favour people because they believe in a particular religious faith, or he doesn't, she, because, God is both male and female, you see. That's why it says in Genesis, and God said, let us make man in our own image, both male and female, to be like us, and set them to tame the earth, you see. That's what it says in the Bible, Janine, Anez, if you ever care to read it. So I understand that Jah applies the law equally to everybody. You see, whether it applies that nobody stands above the law, nobody stands below it. It applies equally from the first to the last of society. That's what I understand. And it doesn't matter what faith they are, what race, what class, what gender, how skilled they are or not. The law applies equally to everybody, and the law takes everything into account when applying itself to whatever individual or circumstance. It will take everything into account. So if somebody commits a crime and they've actually got severe mental health problems, then that will be taken into account. You know, that's the trial, that's the judgment. But everybody is accountable. Every act is held accountable, you see. That's jar law. That's unconditional love, because that law is there to protect the vulnerable and the innocent, and to protect society from people who would commit crimes. Like, for example, usury. Now, if you'd read the Bible, Janine Anez, you would understand that usury is one of the worst crimes before jar. You see, because usury is against jar law, because it's unfair and it's exploitative. So you, as the interim leader, are supporting usurers and usury and claiming that you're bringing God back. You see, you're bringing God into Bolivia when actually you're not. You're standing against God. You're holding a book that you have no understanding of whatsoever, because you exist in a fantasy and a fiction. You have no understanding of the Bible. I understand it because I am a host to the universal golden light intelligence, you see, that revealed itself to me. I wonder why. Maybe it's because I'm not the kind of person who sets myself up on the world's stage to become an interim president, or actually ask for any kind of power, or even would try and exploit my experience to big it up over people, or try to make money for myself. You see? So I'm here as somebody who knows jar, okay, understands fully jar law. I'm here to tell you, Miss Janine Anez, that you are directly standing against jar and jar law by the simple fact that you wish to deny the Bolivian people their rights to benefit equally from their resources, the resources of their lands. Okay? And that you are supporting and are supported by this person, very appropriately exposed here in the Daily Beast, who supports war criminals. Okay? People with true courage who have bravely served and fought on behalf of America, who've earned a Purple Heart, have in this last month been trashed by this man because they arrived in America at the age of 3 as an immigrant. Okay? Apparently he can be trashed, but at the same time, people who take trophy shots of themselves with victims of actually their crime, though that's contentious at the moment, who've been stripped of their military awards and status, he pardons. He pardons them. Three actually. 3 war criminals, all pardoned by Trump, and now he's come right out with it. It's a quid-pro-quo. A quid-pro-quo. Like, yeah, I give you pardons to you war criminals, and then you come and stand with me and campaign with me because I've pardoned you. That is a blatant quid pro quo. This time for war criminals. So here we have the president demanding that the military reverse their decisions, their judgments against this war criminal, this guy who has abused his powers, his military powers. They've been asked to reverse that and to restore his rank because Trump has pardoned Lawrence, Goldstein and reversed Gallagher's demotion in rank. So it's absolutely outrageous that now Spencer is going to have to, well, he's basically resigned because he could not in good conscience carry out Trump's order to the Navy on Gallagher. The Constitution and Uniform Code of Military Justice are the shields that set us apart and the beacons that protect us all, Spencer wrote. Unfortunately, it has become apparent in this respect that I no longer share the same understanding with the Commander-in-Chief, that's President Trump, who appointed me in regards to the key principle of good order and discipline. And Spencer's the Navy Secretary. So he has sadly chosen to resign, which is a very sad loss for America's military. So basically you're talking about a power that supports absolute lawlessness. Actually the opposite of God's law. You see, God's law, Janine Inez, supports right equals might to do as thy will. Are you right? Are your intentions lawful, honourable, in keeping with God's law, of which the head cornerstone is compassion? Care for others as well as oneself. Are you right? You are free to do as thy will. And Donald Trump, he supports the devil's law, Luciferian law. It's criminal's law. Might equals right to do as thy will. Are you powerful? Are you big, physically big and strong? Then you have the right to do as thy will. You're bigger and stronger than a woman or a child. You can rape them or kill them. Do whatever you like to them if you can get away with it. Trump will have you working in his army. Trump wants the kind of army full of men who relish in having the might to do as, to give them the right to do as thy will. To go trophy shooting, to shoot innocent, kill innocent people. You see? That's the choice, because that's the corporation that you serve, Janine Inez. And all you evangelicals, I will warn you now, because I know I have witnessed universal golden light being. Like I say, I have communed with it. I'm sharing it with you now, not as an enemy, but as a fellow human being, and as a warning, Because I tell you, everybody's going to know it. For real. It is going to be known for real. Humanity is going to have that choice to step into their universal beings. And people like you are going to be terrified. Because your own actions stand against you. It's not Jah that judges you. You will judge yourselves according to the way you have judged the life around you and the people around you and the things you have done. Because you will be shown that you are wrong. You will know that you have been supporting and serving Luciferian law, which is directly opposed to Jah law, to God's law. You do not understand that book you hold in your hands. You do not know how to read it. You do not know the wheat from the chaff in it. Because you have no experience, Janine Anez, and I do. And I am telling you now, you need to stop this nonsense. You need to stand down, let President Morales come back to his country. Let the people have their fair share of what is rightfully theirs to benefit from. Or face the consequences, which will be loss of your own souls. And I pity you. I really do pity you. But I pity more right now the people that are suffering directly because of the actions of the kind of people you serve, Janine Anez. The kind of people that he serves. Because he's a puppet as well. He's an arrogant, narcissistic puppet. But he is a puppet of the same powers. The same corporate interests that are mostly supreme supremacist controlled by people who today call themselves Zionists, you know. I mean, they're not Zionists, but, you know, that's what they call themselves. And again, I feel sorry for them because they do not understand. All they know is their money and their power and the evil judgments and lies and myths and fantasies and fictions that they've been riding on for centuries. They're all coming to an end. They're all going to collapse. And the problem with all of them is that they're following, you know, they're taking advantage now and exploiting revelations, which they think gives them the power and the right to fulfill. Basically commit crimes against the earth, crimes against humanity, because it's fulfilling revelations. Except Revelations was not written by God or one of God's prophets. It was written by Cerinthus, a Greek Gnostic, who stole the prophecies of the original Testament and did a copy and paste job to create his evil revelations, which aren't revelations. They're not a prophecy. They are what happens when humanity decides to live outside of universal law, when it decides to follow Luciferian law. Because if you read that book, Janine Anez, you will understand that the people of Nineveh had a choice, didn't they? The people of Nineveh, when they heard a terrible prophecy of what was going to happen to them because of their lawlessness, they repented and changed and adopted Jah law. You see? And so the evil prophecy did not happen. Because that's sense and sanity. Because that's why Jah gave us free will, so that we can choose, so we can be presented with options and we make our choice. And you have all been warned. The people of earth, you are warned. You can ignore me, you can scoff at me, you can laugh at me, you can point out my failings. But none of you can deny the universal golden light intelligence that created you and is within all of you. If you dared ever to face it, face thyselves, you know. And I send my love to the people throughout the world in every nation who are standing up against, well, not really, you're standing up for your rights. These people are standing against you. The corporations that have given themselves powers, the kind of people that put Trump into power. You know, somebody who really needs therapy. But even he's being exploited. But this, like I say, America needs to wake up to this. This is very serious. You know, this is a blatant quid-pro-quo now. It's like an advertisement, isn't it? To the American military. Men with guns in foreign nations. Populations at their mercy. And he's saying, commit crimes. Kill as many as you like. I'll pardon you. As long as you come and campaign for me. Just come and campaign with me. This is outrageous. This is even worse than actually the quid pro quo with Ukraine, because this is a blatant advertisement, quid pro quo now on offer to rogue elements within America's own military. That's a very serious situation if your own military is prepared to stand by a lawbreaker who and only because he will allow them to break the law themselves. How long is it then before they're going to be training their weapons on the American people? Exactly like these are doing right now to the people of Bolivia, because she has issued a statement to the military to shoot the protesters. We are living in very, very, very serious times. And I do hope people, I'll leave my supernatural or not video, supernatural or not yet video. The first part of it shares directly my experience of witnessing universal golden light. And I have been trying to get that message out for 27 years. And I suffered terribly after I'd had that experience, because the people around me rejected me completely. They judged me mad. Even my own son was persuaded that I'd gone mad, and for a time hardly, you know, actually refused to see me. Went to live with his father until, I think, you know, finally, before the age of 15, around the age of 15, he suddenly realised what had been going on and, you know, started coming to make contact with me again. But it was a terrible period of my life. It really was. And it was fantastic to know universal golden light intelligence, but it was terrible to witness the levels of fear in people, actually. I think that's all I can put it down to, that people were actually afraid of Jar. And, you know, I look at this world, it isn't Jar that I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of Jar. I am afraid of people like him. And women, people like her. They're the fearful ones. They're the ones that cause damage, that commit crimes. Why should we be afraid of our Creator? And I do think it's because, you know, centuries and centuries of oppression and punishments that have created these people, the corporate people now, and the people they oppress. You know, people are terrified of being wrong. They don't understand forgiveness. They don't know true love. They don't know compassion. Because that's what they find from Jar. if any of them had the courage to actually repent of their crimes, you know, if they ever made touch with their true human self and expressed remorse and tried to make amends. You know, the universe is a very loving, most merciful, most kind, most forgiving. But only to those people who do have the courage to face reality and face that, look, you have done these things wrong, to face the crimes that they've committed. Not in order that they be punished, because actually the punishment is realising the damage and taking responsibility for it and feeling responsible and feeling the remorse. And for then finding strength in the love and forgiveness of the universe to actually do better, to put that behind you. Because that's how we were when we didn't know. You see, when we'd been lied to, when we'd been deceived, distracted, when we weren't living as truly our true selves. And you know, that's what Jesus taught us, that's what Prophet Muhammad taught us, that's what Prophet Isaiah taught us, that's what so many enlightened men and women of every culture has taught humanity through the ages. And we really do need to get in touch with that now, because no politician is going to save us if we haven't got the wherewithal within ourselves to know who among the politicians are true human beings. You know, Bernie Sanders, true human being. AOC, true human being. Corbyn, true human being. And noticeably, they're the ones that are under heavy attack right now. Morales, true human being. We're not saying that they're infallible, you know, that they haven't perhaps made mistakes now and again or said a word out of place here and there, but at the end of the day, they are trying under very difficult circumstances and against every oppression, every kind of oppression, while he is allowed to tell thousands of lies and make error after error after error, commit crime after crime after crime, and everybody claps the minute he does one right thing because it's such a surprise. No, sorry, this can't go on. This cannot go on. We, as a species, were not designed to live under the law of might equals right to do as thy will. That is a criminal's law. That's Luciferian law, because that's what the devil is, a criminal. Understand, there is no difference between a devil and a criminal. A hardened criminal. Okay? A usurer. That is what the devil is, a usurer and an exploiter, a liar, a deceiver, a fraudster, a thief, a murderer. That's the devil, right? Jar law exists precisely to curtail the freedoms of the devil. That's not to say that Eve's not there, that the criminal is not going to be within our societies at any given time, but the law, a lawful society, will collectively deny that entity, that spirit, any access into their society. And the moment it shows itself, it will be arrested. You see, that is a lawful world. A lawful world denies freedom to devils, to criminals. And right now we are living in a lawless world, and it takes men like him and women like her to keep it that way, and precisely to give freedom to more crime and more criminals, you see. And that's why it has to stop. And that's why the rock bottom of it is, Yes, vote for your human beings among your politicians, but connect with yourself and connect with Jar law, universal law of abundance and compassion. Don't forget it. Stand by it. Find the love within yourself, okay? And take strength and take courage and know Jar love, Jar forgiveness.